Have you ever stopped to think about how many things you learned wrong and never questioned? Believe me, there are many truths out there that are nothing more than repeated myths. And I'm not talking about silly details. I'm talking about things that shape the way you see the world. For example, did you know that rats prefer sweets to cheese? Well, and that's just the beginning. These curiosities that I'm going to show you now go far beyond strange facts. Each one of them reveals something profound about behavior, choices, and how we are conditioned without realizing it. In the end, it's not just about animals. It's about you. Ready to face some truths that no one had the courage to tell you? There are those who still believe that rats love cheese as if it were a divine gift. But is it true? If you put a piece of cheese and a sweet treat side by side, the rat will go straight for the sugar. And this is not a guess, it is science. The cheese myth was born because, in the past, cheese was more accessible in the pantry. Sweets, on the other hand, because they were more expensive or scarce, were rarely there, lying around. Curiosities like this show how much our perception can be shaped by old habits, and not by reality itself. Now, think about it. If even rats prefer sweets to savory, why do we still insist on repeating ideas just because it has always been that way? This type of mentality is what keeps many people stuck in old patterns. The human brain, just like the clever little mouse, is also attracted to quick and pleasurable rewards, and this influences our choices more than we imagine. Want to see an example? That habit of procrastinating difficult tasks and choosing to watch a fun video on your cell phone. Same logic. And the worst part? We think everything is fine because it's normal. But what if normal is just another myth? These little curiosities teach us something bigger. How much we are conditioned by old narratives and we don't even realize it. Just as the mouse has been misunderstood for centuries, how many of our truths are also just misinterpreted? And when we start to question these little beliefs, it opens the door to something powerful: critical thinking. And while we're on the subject of misinterpretations, let me tell you about another one that many people repeat, thinking it's fact. Many people look at a flamingo balanced on one leg and think, "Poor thing, it must be trying to protect itself from the cold." But that's not true at all. Flamingos actually rest like this because it's more comfortable for them. Yes, more comfortable. The bone and muscle structure of these birds works better in this position. It's as if their bodies lock in the right place, saving energy. And look, interesting facts like this become life lessons when we stop and think about it. Sometimes, what seems strange to others is actually what works best for you. Want a practical parallel? Think about that person who decides to work at dawn because they're more productive at that time. To those who follow a traditional routine, it might seem strange. But for them, it's exactly like the flamingo, the most stable position. In a world where normal has become synonymous with correct, realizing that comfort doesn't always come from convention is liberating. And the most interesting thing, the body itself shows this, whether it's a flamingo's or a human being tired of forcing patterns that don't make sense. These little curiosities about flamingos open our minds to a powerful principle. Comfort and balance are not universal, they are individual. The secret is to find your flamingo way of living, the way that, even if it's strange to some, gives you stability. And speaking of impressive creatures, have you ever wondered how a giant over 30 meters tall can have such a tiny detail as... You look at a blue whale, this colossus of the seas, and think, this thing must be able to swallow an entire car in one go. But surprise, its throat is so narrow that it can only fit something the size of an orange. It's as if a giant could only eat ping-pong balls. Strange, right? These curiosities show us that size doesn't always matter. The natural world is always challenging us with these paradoxes, and they apply directly to our daily lives, more than we imagine. Just think, how many times have you judged something or someone solely by their size, appearance, or visual impact? Sometimes, that superimposing person in a meeting can barely handle a small responsibility. And, on the contrary, someone more discreet can be a true blue whale in efficiency, even if they can only swallow one project at a time. Knowing this changes the way we interpret skills, capabilities, and even expectations. It's a huge game changer. These curiosities hide powerful lessons. The essential, often, is between the lines. The blue whale, even limited by the size of its throat, reigns over the oceans with ancient wisdom. And how many times do we sabotage ourselves by believing that we need a lot to do something big, when, in fact, small, consistent actions move the world? And since we are in this mood for amazing creatures, get ready, because the next animal carries yet another myth on its back. Literally. You know that old story about camels storing water in their humps? Well, forget it. What they store there is fat, and it's no coincidence. This fat serves as a source of energy during long periods of scarcity in the desert. When they need it, their bodies convert this reserve into fuel. And here's one of those curiosities that teach us more than it seems. Sometimes, the secret to endurance is where we least expect it. Literally on our backs. Translating it to our universe. How many times do we think we'll be able to deal with a challenge if we have everything in hand? Money, time, energy, support. But, just like camels, what guarantees our long journey is what we accumulate beforehand. Knowledge, discipline, planning. Want to see a practical example? Having a financial reserve, or even a spreadsheet of daily habits. It may seem simple, but it's these invisible humps that keep us standing when the ground dries out. These curiosities about camels remind us that, often, true power lies in silent preparation. It's not about always being stocked up, but rather knowing how to transform what you already have into something useful when needed. And speaking of common mistakes, there's another animal that, poor thing, has unfairly become a meme over the years. But the truth about this is quite different from what is being said. This is a classic. So-and-so is like an ostrich, burying its head in the sand. But no ostrich does that. What they really do is lower their heads to take care of their eggs, turning them delicately in the nest. The confusion comes from the fact that, from a distance, it looks like the head has disappeared into the ground. Another one of those curiosities that spread as if they were true, but are not supported. And the most curious thing, this metaphor of hiding the head has become an excuse for many people to escape reality. This type of myth shows how sometimes we rely on distorted stories to justify behaviors. I prefer not to see. I'll pretend it's not my problem. Have you ever heard or even said this? Well, yes. But unlike what the myth suggests, ostriches face their responsibility head-on. And perhaps that is the real lesson. Taking care of what is yours, even if it seems insignificant to others. Exactly like turning eggs in a nest of hot sand. Curiosities like these teach us to doubt common sense and to look more closely. Because how many times do we stop believing in things just because everyone says so? It is in this gap between what is said and what is real that wisdom resides. And speaking of the head, there is a creature that uses its head like no one else. It spins so much, that it looks like something out of a movie. Let's unravel this enigma of nature. Owls are true masters of the neck. No, they don't turn their heads 360 degrees as many people think. That's just cartoon stuff. But they can turn up to 270 degrees to each side, totaling an impressive 540 degrees of amplitude. That's because their eyes are fixed in their sockets, so in order to expand their field of vision, their necks do all the heavy lifting. One of these curiosities that impresses not only because of its biology, but also because of its powerful analogy. Seeing the big picture requires flexibility. Now think about this applied to real life. How many people do you know who can only look straight ahead, from their own point of view? They have little room to listen, to consider the other side, to analyze the scenario in more depth. The owl teaches us a great lesson. The more angles you can observe, the better you understand the situation. Whether it's a personal conflict, a professional decision, or a simple conversation. Expanding your vision is making room for wisdom. These curiosities about owls make us reflect on a rare and valuable skill, perspective. It's no wonder that the owl is a symbol of intelligence. Seeing beyond the obvious, diverting your thoughts without getting hurt, keeping your eyes open even when your body is still. All of this has immense value today. And if you've come this far, you've probably noticed there's a pattern behind these myths that have been debunked. And now, it's time to put it all together. Now that you've discovered what's really behind these curiosities, tell me, how many other truths do you still carry without realizing it? How many decisions have you made based on poorly told stories? The truth is that many people live on autopilot, never stopping to question what seems obvious. But not you. If you've come this far, it's because you're ready to see beyond. So, are you going to continue living under myths? Or are you going to start observing, investigating, and thinking more clearly? The choice is yours. From today on, every time you hear something that everyone is talking about, stop and think, is this really true? Or is it just another one of those well-packaged errors that confuse our worldview? If you like this content and want to continue opening your mind to facts that few people know, but that change everything, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Come with us on this journey to discover what no one told you, and, most importantly, why this matters so much to your life.